order. Same order means I will tell you later what is the meaning of this same order. So triangle law says that first I am writing the statement. Two vectors acting at a point can be represented in magnitude and direction by sides of triangle in same order. Then their resultant can be represented by closing side of triangle in opposite direction. So two vectors acting at a point can be represented in magnitude and direction by sides of triangle in same order. Then their resultant can be represented by the closing side of a triangle in opposite direction. So we have to add two vectors. So I am taking two vectors here. One vector is this. This is one vector, and this is the tail, and this is the head. This is suppose A vector, and there is another vector like this. Same order means if two vectors are in same order, means the head of one vector will coincide with the tail of another vector. So this is the same order. Okay. And you have extended this in the direction of the given vector, and this angle between two vectors is theta. Theta is the angle between the two vectors. So according to the triangle law, the resultant of A vector, and suppose this is a B vector, the resultant of two vector will be represented by this. This is the closing side of the triangle in the opposite order. Opposite order means here head and head of vector will coincide. Here tail and tail will be coincide. So this is the vector in the opposite order. Okay. And this will be the resultant vector. This will be the resultant vector of A vector and B vector. So resultant vector R vector is equal to A vector plus B vector. So we have already calculated the magnitude of this resultant vector in the parallelogram law. So magnitude of R, if you want to find, R vector. Here we have two vectors, A vector and B vector. And these two vectors have an angle theta in between. Okay. So resultant can be written as A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. This is the resultant. And for the direction of the resultant vector, we will apply this formula. Tan beta is equal to B sin theta A plus B cos theta. Simply already discussed this and this, but you should know what is triangle law. This thing is from the parallelogram law. This thing is from the parallelogram law. But you should know if two vectors are like this, then closing side of a triangle will be the resultant vector in opposite direction. Two vectors are like this, suppose. One vector is this, and another vector is this. So suppose this is A vector, this is B vector, and angle between the two vectors is theta. And B vector and B vector, this angle will be theta. So this and this is the same thing. Okay, this and this is the same thing. Okay, this theta and this theta will be equal. Do one thing, just slide this only this part. This arrow value will slide in this direction. So this thing will look like this. Okay. You have a vector like this. This is the vector, A vector. Okay. Now this vector can slide. Suppose initially this vector is like this. Okay, like this. This vector is initially like this and making an angle theta. This vector is like this and making an angle theta with this B vector. Now if I am sliding this A vector, when you will slide this vector, na, so this vector will be look like this, A vector. Okay. So this thing and this thing will be same. Okay. So this point you have to remember. So you can write here same order means add of one vector coincide with the tail of another. Tail of This is the example of same order of two vectors. And here is two vectors of opposite order. Will be like this. This is one vector, this is another vector. So what will happen in the opposite order? Both the arrow will be like this. This is your A vector. So note it down.
Notes, sir.
So see here, this A vector and B vector are acting at a point. Okay, this A vector and B vector are acting at a point. Okay.
Completed, sir.
Completed. Yeah. Tail to tail will also be the opposite order. The condition for the same order is only when the head and the tail will coincide. Otherwise, the vector will be in the opposite order all the time. Okay. If the vector is given like this is one vector, and suppose this is another vector. Okay. These two vectors will also be in the opposite order. Okay. Head and tail must be coincide for the same order. Got it, Divyangi?
Yes, sir.
Have you completed this part?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we will take one question, then you will understand how to solve the problem. Okay. So I am taking this question. They are saying a car covers a displacement. A car covers a displacement of 2 meter due east, then 5 meter due northeast. Calculate the resultant displacement. Calculate the resultant displacement, and we know that displacement is a vector quantity, means we have to, for the resultant displacement, what we will do, we will add both the vectors, both the displacements. Okay, displacement is a vector quantity. So first draw the direction, in which direction the car is going. So on paper this direction is east, west, north, south. That's not south. So suppose the car has started from this point. Car has started from this point and the car has moved a displacement of suppose 2 meter in this direction. Suppose this is S1, is the displacement covered by the car in the east direction, that is 2 meter. And after that they are saying this car is moving 5 meter due northeast. Northeast means after that the car will move like this. Suppose this is displacement covered by the car S2, that is 5 meter. This is first displacement covered by the car, second displacement covered by the car, and this direction is the northeast direction. If this direction is the northeast direction, then this angle will be 45 degree. This angle will be 45 degree. Okay. Northeast direction is this direction. This. Okay. This direction. So this angle will be 45. This angle will also be 45. Okay. So this is this direction and this direction are parallel, means same direction. Now we will calculate the resultant displacement here. Okay. Now you can see here. Here I can apply the triangle law. This is one vector and this is another vector. Two vectors are in the same order. If I want to, this vector and this vector are in the same order. So the resultant of this vector can be given by, if I draw a vector like this, and this vector is in the opposite order. This vector is in the opposite order. Here head and head is coinciding. Here tail and tail is coinciding. So this is your resultant vector. This is your resultant vector. So now you can find here the resultant vector as S1 vector plus S2 vector. Earlier resultant is given by this now, A vector plus B vector. So simply for the magnitude we will apply the formula. We have this formula for the magnitude. R is equal to A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. What is theta? Theta is the angle between A vector and B vector. This time theta is 45 here. Here your theta will be 45. So just apply the formula. And A and B represent the magnitude of the A vector and B vector. So I can write this as S1 square plus S2 square plus 2 S1 S2 cos theta. S1 square means 2 square. S2 square means 5 square plus 2 into S1 means 2. S2 means 5. Cos theta means cos 45. And cos 45 is given by 1 by root 2. Is given by 1 by root 2. So when you will solve, you will get this answer 29 plus 10 under root 2. 29 plus 10 under root 2 will be the resultant. Mean the resultant displacement of the car is given by 29 plus 10 root 2 meters. Okay. This is your resultant. Now for the direction, suppose this r vector is making an angle of beta with this s1. So tan beta can be finded out with this formula, b sin theta divided by a plus b cos theta. So direction tan beta b sin theta divided by a plus b cos theta. So tan beta you can find. Now here this s1 represents a vector and this s2 represents b vector. So for a vector you will write 2, for b you will write 5. So this will be 5 sin 45 divided by 2 plus 5 cos 45. Just calculate this value. I am telling what is sin 45. This is 1 by root 2. Cos 45 is also 1 by root 2. Now calculate this value by yourself. This value. Put the value of sin 45. And tell me the answer. Done. Divyangi and Joylin, done this?
Yes, sir.
What is the answer?
So 5 by 7.
Okay. So check your answer. 5 into 1 by root 2. And here 2 plus 5 into 1 by root 2. Yes, your answer is correct. No, not correct. here will be 5 by root 2. 5 by 7, na your answer. So this will become, here you will take the LCM root 2 na. So here with this will become 2 under root 2 plus 5, and this is, and this will be 5 divided by this root 2, and root 2 will be cancelled out. This will be 5 plus 2 under root 2. So this is your 10 beta, and you can find this beta with the trigonometric inverse trigonometric function. Okay. So finally you can write your answer. Your 10 of beta is equal to 5 divided by 5 plus 2 under root 2. From here you can get the beta is equal to 10 inverse 5 divided by 5 plus 2 under root 2. This is your beta, and beta means angle. Angle represents the direction of the vector. Okay, so you have the direction of the magnitude of the displacement this, and direction of the displacement this. This beta represent the direction. So okay, write down the answer in the question. I will take one more question on triangle law.
Done, sir.
Then okay.
Root, sir.
Do this and we will solve the next question. So now we will solve this question. Here, three vectors are given: A vector, B vector, and C vector. Three vectors are given, and direction of the three vectors is also given. This arrow represents the direction. So A vector is like this, and V vector is like this. So Divyangi, tell me, A vector and V vector are in the same order or in the opposite order?
Same order.
Yeah. And what about B and C?
Same.
Head, same. Head and tail, and here also head and tail. So three vectors are in the same order given to you. So we want to find this value: A vector, B vector, and C vector, summation of A vector, B vector, and C vector. This we have to find. Okay. So what I am doing, just a minute. Now I have considered this is A vector and this is your B vector, and this vector C is in this direction. Okay. This C vector is in this direction. I have taken one vector C which is in the opposite direction of this vector, and this is C vector means this is the R vector, I have taken, not C, because C have already C vector. So I have taken a vector, A vector and B vector are two vectors, and here is another vector in the opposite order. In the opposite order, and this vector is the closing side of the triangle. Okay. So from the triangle law, can I write this? R is equal to A plus B. Okay. Sum A plus B can be written equal to R. Okay. From the triangle law. A plus B. And one thing you should know, this from this figure, negative of a vector. I have told you what is the negative of a vector. See this R vector and see this C vector. See the direction. Direction of R vector and C vector are opposite, but the magnitude of R vector and C vector is same. Means you can write this R vector as a minus of C vector from triangle 1 and 2. From triangle 1 and 2, you can write this R vector is a negative of C vector. So put this R vector, value of R vector in this equation number first. Suppose this is equation number first. So put R vector is equal to minus C vector in equation number 1. So you will get this as minus C is equal to A vector plus B vector. So finally you will get the answer A vector plus B vector plus C vector is equal to 0. The answer will be 0. So from here, from this question, we can conclude that if three vectors are in the same order, if three vectors are in the same order represented by the three sides of the triangle, then summation of the three vectors will be 0. if three vectors are in same order, so given by this. This is the condition. Then you can write a vector plus b vector plus c vector is equal to 0. Just note down. Here the point is this r vector and c vectors are the negative of each other. Okay, because I have told you what is a negative vector. Same magnitude but opposite direction. Same magnitude but opposite direction. Note down. You can write here from triangle 1 and triangle 2. This is triangle number 1. This is triangle number 2. Negative vector and parallel vector means if two vectors are parallel, means those two vectors can be equal or not equal, means the magnitude will be equal or not. Here, if you have vector, like you have this one vector and you have this another vector, both vectors are in the same direction. So this is an example of the parallel vector. But negative vector means you have asked me the question now, what is a negative difference? A negative vector. So for the negative vector, what we should have, the condition will be followed. This b vector, the magnitude of the b vector should be equal to a vector, and both are in opposite direction. Both are in opposite direction. So see, so this will be the example of negative vector. Okay. So a vector will, magnitude of a vector must be equal to the another vector, and that another vector must be in the opposite direction of the given vector. In that case, you can say a vector is the negative vector of b vector. But for the parallel vector, it is not necessary that the magnitude of both the vectors should be same. It can, if two vectors, for the parallel vectors, uh, if the direction is same, then you can say vectors are parallel. Okay.
And sir, in anti-parallel direction is opposite.
If two vectors are in anti-parallel direction,
Yes, sir.
yeah. So there is, we cannot say that if two vectors are anti-parallel, then they are, you can say, the negative of each other. Suppose I have this vector. So A vector and B vector are anti-parallel, but this time I cannot say this. Okay. There will be some other relation, okay, but not the equal. Okay, understood now?
Yes, sir.
Anti-parallel and the parallel means vectors are opposite. This is the only condition. Means parallel, direction same. For the parallel vector, direction would be same. Anti-parallel, direction would be opposite. But for a negative of a vector, direction should be opposite, means anti-parallel, and magnitude equal of both the vectors. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so completed this.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, so Joelin, you also.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so got it now. How we write the negative of another vector?
Yes, sir.
And remember this point. So negative of a one vector means two vectors are negative. So you can say if a vector is negative of another vector, then you can say there should be two conditions should be there. Those two vectors must be anti-parallel. Anti-parallel means opposite in the direction. And second condition is the magnitude of both the vectors must be equal.
Good answer.
Joylin, completed.
Yes, sir.
Now we will discuss. Suppose if I want to calculate the resultant of three vectors, four vectors, five vectors, then in that case, this triangle law and parallelogram law will not help. Okay, we cannot calculate the summation of more than two vectors by using the triangle law or parallelogram law at a time. Okay, so for this we have a polygonal law. So polygon conditions, polygonal law of vector addition. Condition valid for any number of vectors means you can add with the help of polygonal law any number of vectors. Three vector, four vector, five vector. And the condition, another condition is vectors should be in the same order. So the statement of this is if vectors acting at a point are represented in magnitude and the direction by the sides of the polygon in the same order, then their resultant can be represented by the closing side of polygon. Polygon means many sides. Quadrilateral having many sides. So suppose you have one vector like this. And you have another vector like this. You have another vector like this. Another vector like this. Suppose this is the A vector, this is B vector, this is C vector, this is D vector. Four vectors are there. So these four vectors are in the same order. See, are in the same order. So according to this law, according to polygonal law, the closing side of the polygon, this side, in the opposite order, will be the resultant of all the vectors. Will be the resultant of all the vectors. So you can write here R vector is equal to A vector plus B vector plus C vector plus D vector. Simply. Remember one thing. you can achieve this resultant by applying the triangle law again and again. By applying the triangle law again and again. Just I am giving one example. Okay. So what you will do? First, you will add these two vectors. Okay, A and B you will add with the help of triangle law. Then you will get this. Okay, this resultant. This is R1. Now this and this is completed. Now you will calculate this R1 and this C. Okay, you will calculate R1 and C like this. Suppose this is R2. Then you will calculate this R2 and D. So this R will be your final answer. This R. See this vector and this vector, and this will represent the resultant of R2 plus D. So if you will apply the triangle law again and again for calculating the summation of more than two vectors, we have to apply the triangle law again and again. Okay. And with the help of polygonal law, we can just say that the resultant of the closing side of the polygon. Poly means many, gon means side. Okay. Closing side of the polygon will be the resultant of the vectors. Okay, write down this.
So,
Yeah.
sir, so we will always be given an open polygon in the question.
Hmm?
Sir, we will be given open polygon.
Hmm? Hmm? No. Means you are saying that the question in the form of open polygon. Actually, this can be happen. The this side should be removed. If I the question can be like this. Okay, this is A vector and this is B vector and C vector. The examiner can ask you represent the uh, resultant vector. How the resultant vector will be represented for this. Okay, this can be the question.
Okay,
Got
sir.
it? Got it. Completed this, both of you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so complete this. Then I will ask you one question. And I will take question on this in the next class. Okay. Basically, numerical part, for the numerical part in your syllabus, you will apply the triangle law only. Or triangle law means or parallelogram. Triangle law or parallelogram. Okay. But the question on the polygonal law will be like this. Like three vectors are given. Okay. Three vectors are given like this. One vector is this, another vector is this, and another vector is this. And here is another vector. Okay. This is P vector, this is Q vector, this is R, and this is S. So the examiner can ask you what is the relation between the PQ and PQRS. Okay, then you have to identify with these are the four vectors. Okay, you can write this vector is in this Q, R, and S. So Q, R, and S are the vectors of same order, and this PQ is the closing side of the polygon, you can imagine, and in the opposite order also. So you can write the summation of Q, R, and S equal to P. Okay. This type of question you will get from the polygonal law basically. For the numerical purpose, you will use the parallelogram law for the magnitude, and for the direction you will use that formula tan beta is equal to 1 and all that. Okay. Sometimes we will use the triangle law also. Completed this?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you should have a doubt here. Here, this vector and this A here, two vectors A and B, here A and B, they are of same order or opposite order. Means this vector, tell me about this vector. This represents the two vectors of same order or opposite order.
Opposite.
Right. Actually, what is now here? Here, this I have made now for this angle. Okay, this angle theta and this angle theta between the two vectors will be same. From the geometry, when you will slide this vector this side, so this will become like this. Okay, then you can say that this angle is theta, and you can say you can see here this is B vector and this is B vector are in the same direction. Okay, this is A vector and this is A vector in the same direction. When you will slide this vector, then this angle between A and B will be theta, and here also the angle between A and B will be theta. Both the angle will be same. From the geometry, this is happening. Okay. Okay. If you guys have any doubt, then you can ask me. Rest of the things we will discuss in the next class. We will take question on this polygonal law in the next class. So, Divyangi, do you have any doubt regarding this?
No, sir.
And Joylin?
So I didn't understand the last thing which is
This, not this.
the yes, sir. That one.
This thing or this thing? This one?
No, sir. The polygon one.
Just a minute. Okay. No problem. This now, see. Tell me, this is polygon or not? Polygon, na?
Yeah, it's a polygon.
Okay.
Yes.
So see how in this polygon, and see, this is Q vector like this here. This is Q vector, this is R vector, and this is S vector, and this is P vector. Okay. So now we have to find the relation between P, Q, R, S. So polygonal law says that if there are n number of vectors, represented by the sides of parallelogram, okay, not the parallelogram, represented by the sides of polygon. So this q vector, r vector, and s vector, this figure will be given to you. Okay, already this figure will be given to you. Okay. And represented by the sides of the polygon in the same order. Then the closing side of the polygon will be the resultant of q, r, and s vector. Three vectors. Okay, here three vectors are given. So you can write this from the polygonal law. This q vector, r vector, and s vector are in the same order, and this side will be the closing side of the polygon, and this side also in the opposite order, and the side in the opposite order will represent the resultant of the remaining vector. So you can write here this p vector is equal to q vector plus r vector plus s vector. Read this statement. If vectors acting at a point are represented in magnitude and the direction by the sides of the polygon in the same order, then their resultant can be represented by close